Welcome to Techie Tuesday, and I'm Gary McLennan. Today we're going to talk a little bit about racing and just some high-level things, and we'll delve into these in more detail in future Techie Tuesdays. So what do we do at each stage of the race? So pre-race is probably the most important thing. Pre-race you do things like prepare your boat and your body, make sure you have plenty of food as fuel, that you're relaxed and you've had good sleep, your boat is prepared and checked, you've read sailing instructions, then you hit the water in plenty of time to do the following things. One of the things you need to do is you need to have a tuning partner and go out and test your boat speed, do a few adjustments to your boat and make sure that your boat is working in the conditions that are current at the time. Do some warm-up with some boat handling manoeuvres. Do some tacks and jibes. It's really important that you're moving around the boat in a fluid fashion so that when the race comes that you're not fumbling and tripping over. Check out the wind shifts. So when you're doing your tuning, you can also be looking at what the wind's doing. Make sure that you're taking a record of the highs and lows on each tack and you're looking at where the new pressure's coming from. Check out the start line. You need to get your transit on the start line and we'll talk about how you use that on another Techie Tuesday. You need to look at the bias so that you've got some idea of which end everyone's going to be starting at. That doesn't mean you have to start there, you just need to know. Check the mark locations. You need to know where they are. Sometimes the race committee will get it wrong and you need to know if there's one tack is going to be longer than the other. The start. How do we do the start? Well, there's a few things you need to think about. The wind will give you an idea of which end. You're going to be looking at where the pressure's coming from, how the line is biased to the wind, what the size of the fleet is. For example, if the fleet is really large, you might start in the middle of the line, in the midline sag. Is there a tide to take into consideration? Will that carry you over the line? Will it hold all the boats back? Do you need to go left or right to get out of the tide? When you actually go to start, it's really important that you create a clear lane for yourself. So when you go off the start, it's no point in being boxed in and sailing in dirty air. If you're in clear air, you've got a clear lane, you'll be going fast and you'll be staying with the bunch. The first beat. First beat's about risk management, and the important thing is to stay in contact with the fleet. Don't take a flyer, don't take any high risks. Keep a clear lane, so that's keeping clear air. Don't tack into dirty air, and stay with the good guys. Stay in phase with the wind shifts, and the main thing is to come in to the first mark in the first half of the fleet. You can then make up some ground from there on. A lot of boats lose ground approaching the first mark. A bad mistake is to come in on port tack inside the 3 boat lengths. You have no rights. So practicing that rounding is really important. The first reach is where a lot of boats gain or lose. They've come around the first mark, and the first mark is a bit like a sausage machine. There's a big bunch of boats trying to get around that first mark, and they can only go around it in groups of 1 or 2. So the fleet gets spread out. So what happens there is you'll either have boats in front of you, or boats behind you, or both. If you've got a gap behind you, you might choose in the gusts to work low. By working low, that means you can come into the jibe mark fast with buoy room. That's really good. However, if you've got a lot of boats behind you, you may need to stay up a little bit just to keep clear air. And I would definitely defend that clear air a third the way down the reach and then start looking for opportunities to work low down to the jibe mark. The mark rounding, the jibe mark's really important. If there's a big crowd at the mark, then you might be better to go wide or even jibe really late if the second reach is a broad reach. The second reach is much the same thing. You've got to make a choice. You're either going to go high or low. When you get to the second beat, this is where a lot of the big opportunities will be for you. You'll find that you'll need to defend a few boats behind and that you can pick off a few boats in front. So this is where you can take some small risks to make up some ground. Don't hit the ley line. When you get to the run is really simple. Just sail fast. You need to be looking at the wind gusts. You need to be looking at the angle of the wind and the wind and the waves. So you need to be on the jibe where you've got the best opportunity to surf waves, and you need to be always trying to head to where the next gust is so that you're in the strongest wind possible. Always remember on the run, it's very important to get buoy room down at the bottom mark. So don't get caught outside 5 or 6 boats, because you can lose 50 metres on that rounding. The last beat is all about consolidation. And what I mean there is you've got a position in the fleet. The fleet is now really spread out. It's unlikely that you're going to make up or lose a lot of ground. So try and consolidate your position. You might be able to pass 1 or 2 boats. And the big opportunity is when you come into the finish line. Because like the start line, the finish line is often biased. You need to figure out which end is closer to you and sail to that end. So that is a high-level view of racing. We're going to go into each of these areas in separate Techie Tuesday. So I hope you enjoyed this Techie Tuesday, and we'll see you next time.